Here are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Maine Democratic Senate candidate Troy Jackson calls his 2009 vote against marriage equality his biggest mistake, highlighting his evolution into a supporter of LGBT rights and reproductive freedom.
A former PepsiCo employee alleges she was fired after reporting years of anti-LGBTQ+ harassment and taking a protective medical leave. She is accusing the company of discrimination, retaliation, and fostering a hostile workplace.
The Trump administration ended direct CDC HIV prevention grants to community organizations, shifting $46 million to states. Advocates warn LGBTQ+ Black, Latino, and Southern communities could face reduced access to care.
Singapore arrested 3 teenagers in separate alleged ISIS-inspired terror plots this year, including 2 accused of planning knife attacks targeting LGBTQ+ students, highlighting growing concerns over online youth radicalization.
Christian fitness influencers are facing online ridicule after opening men-only gyms aimed at preventing infidelity and lust. Critics are mocking the concept as restrictive and reinforcing outdated views on gender and sexuality. All this important LGBTQ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only openly LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 14 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, July 30th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but be created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Happening Out South Florida.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 16,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television, news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBT community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Rex Rogosch. Rex is a visionary designer with over 30 years of experience in product design, interior design, and architecture. He performs in the drag community as international lords and is the current reigning Mr. Scandals 2026. Rex is the president and co-founder of Lantera, a 501c3 organization dedicated to advancing mental health awareness through inclusive, community-driven events. Rex, Come As You Are, Turnabout invites Wilton Manors to flip the script on September 12th. So tell me, Rex, what's happening out?
Absolutely. Come celebrate self-expression at Come As You Are Turnabout 2026 on Saturday, September 12th at 8 p.m. at The Well. This lively event embraces guests' unexpected styles, reverses traditional roles, and enjoy a welcoming atmosphere where individuality takes center stage. Whether you're dressing to surprise, laugh with friends, or simply connect with the community, the event promises a memorable night of fun and authenticity. We encourage attendees to purchase tickets online in advance. Tickets are available at lanterafl.org. So this is our 6th year doing this, I believe. It's a really great event. For those who don't know what Turnabout is, Turnabout traditionally in the queer community has been people who are traditionally not drag performers or performers in general will come on stage and raise money for an organization. So we are hosting this as Come As You Are. And the reason why we say Come As You Are, because we really want it to not feel like necessarily a typical drag event. You'll see live performers, you'll see drag kings, drag queens on stage, but we also get the community involved and the audience involved. And the tickets help support our mental health fund. We launched it this year to help direct funds towards people who still need to stay within their mental health practices, and so we hope to see everybody out there. The Well, is a new location for us to hold this event. So come on out.
It sounds like a fun event. For what we've said before, like the Well's a great thing. You've talked about this event before, and like it sounds both amazing and like who doesn't love watching like really messy, rough around the edges queens? Like, come on, girls, we all want to be there. Like,
it definitely is. Definitely is.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Come As You Are, Turnabout on September 12th. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He's also a board member of the West Side Association. Welcome to the show, Larry. How are you, girl?
Good. It's great to be here, Alex, with you gentlemen. How are you doing?
You. I'm doing well. What about you? Any like fun things going on in your life?
I'm here. This is the highlight of my week.
Well, it is hot, and outdoor activities are not advised at the moment.
Oh my goodness, my poor car can barely keep us cold in the drive.
Your poor dogs, never mind that.
Oh, I haven't taken them out for walks lately. It's too hot. I don't want to risk it.
I know. It's toasty.
Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen, a world traveler and versatile in global affairs. Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, girl. How you been?
Okay. Haven't seen you in better part of the week.
I know. It's been like days since you've seen me. How do you get by without it?
I don't know. I'm all heartbroken.
Oh, people need their Alex fix, I suppose.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Yes, thank you. I love so much when people talk about me, and just hearing all that I've done just really gets me going in the day.
Well, the election season is coming up. Any plans?
Well, I'm not running for anything, though. I always say you and everyone else should all run for president in 2028 because everybody and their sister will. So why not, kids? Go get yourselves nominated for something. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer politics. Maine Senate candidate Troy Jackson highlights his political evolution on LGBTQ rights. Maine Democratic Senate candidate Troy Jackson is drawing attention for his willingness to publicly acknowledge and explain his past opposition to LGBTQ rights as he campaigns to unseat Republican Senator Susan Collins. Jackson, a former lawyer and current president of the Maine Senate, has described his 2009 vote against marriage equality as his, quote, worst vote ever, end quote. At the time, he was the only Democrat in the Maine legislature to oppose legalizing same-sex marriage. Since then, Jackson has reversed his positions on queer rights and reproductive freedoms. He now supports marriage equality, backed Maine's post-Roe reproductive privacy protections, and has consistently voted in favor of LGBTQ+ rights during his tenure as Senate president. Jackson has attributed his shift to conversations with LGBTQ constituents, women, families, and healthcare providers. That changed his understanding of equal rights and bodily autonomy. Rather than portraying the change as politically convenient, he has openly acknowledged that his earlier views were mistaken. Political commentators have noted Jackson's understated campaign style, contrasting it with the more combative political messaging that has become common in recent years. His low-key demeanor has also drawn comparisons to former Democratic Senate hopeful Graham Plattner. Supporters argue Jackson's openness about his evolution may resonate with voters seeking authenticity over political theatrics. Well, you know what? I think it's good for candidates to, when they have mistakes, and to evolve. And I have been an advocate over the years of candidates that have either been connected to homophobic positions or anti-gay positions, for changing and giving them support at what they tell us they do. I do that for two reasons. Because one, I do think people change. Like Graham Plattner, he did a lot of changing. Like I in many ways love him, but he was changing for like his entire campaign, girl. But like the other reason is like, it also shows real political power when people start apologizing for not liking you in the past. And for the gay community and the LGBTQ community, when politicians have to like kowtow to us, it means that we're doing something right politically. So good for Mr. Jackson. You know, I hope he does a great job. I hope he defeats Susan Collins, because I just can't stand that lady. She's so annoying.
I think the polls are working in his favor so far, and I think it's a kind of political dysfunction when people insist on that the candidate never changes how they vote from the very beginning of their political history. I mean, look at the other side of the coin. You know, Republicans change their positions all the time, depending on, you know, what the prevailing wind is. And, or, you know, whatever 1600 Pennsylvania, you know, wanted from the gold plated god. But the thing is, it is good for people to change opinion every once in a while. I mean, after all, Obama changed his position for same-sex marriage. We are not mad at him about it. So,
I mean, like you said, everybody changes their position on something, anything. And we have to also realize that, I mean, even our closest friends and our family members all have changed. Some have probably also changed their position on when you came out. So it doesn't surprise me. I think the biggest point to actually to show here is that he's not just saying that he's changed his position, because he is actively voting in favor of queer protective rights and those types of things. So he's backing up what he's saying on the stage with actual actions. There, you know, we have seen so many political figures who say one thing to get voted and do something else.
But that's a distinction, right? The whole thing is that, yes, your previous votes, you can regret it, you can apologize to the community, but once you promise something on the campaign trail, and then you flip, Fetterman, and then you flip, like John Fetterman, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be seen as hypocritical, inauthentic, or worse.
Correct.
Yeah, well, it's very positive, as everyone's really alluded to, that he's, you know, got to know his constituents and, you know, related to them, and he's truly being a representative rather than some of our right-wing foes that are out there right now.
Exactly. And, you know, for the LGBTQ community, like, Mr. Jackson does not come off as, like, a potential threat. Like, he was a Bernie-endorsed candidate for Maine governor, and whether you like my fellow socialists and the progressives or not, they're not known as casting anti-LGBTQ votes. Like, that's just not something that we, you know, I've yet to see. Like, AOC doesn't, like, you know, sell out the queer community. Like, Mandani doesn't sell out the queer community. Like, you know, Cory Bush never had a problem with queer people. Like, he's running with that crowd, and if he's running with that crowd, he's probably going to be fine on LGBTQ stories.
I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up justice. Lawsuit alleges PepsiCo fired employee after anti-LGBTQ plus harassment complaints. A former PepsiCo employee has filed a federal lawsuit alleging the company fired her after she reported nearly 2 years of anti-LGBTQ plus harassment and took protected family medical leave. The lawsuit, filed July 24th in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, alleges the employee endured repeated harassment between October 2023 and November 2025. According to the complaint, the victim is described as a gay man who uses female pronouns. The co-workers allegedly told her they can't stand gay people, used a homophobic slur, criticized her voice, and refused to share a restroom with her. One person said he did not like gay people, quote, like you, end quote, before removing his safety vest, which the employee took as an indication that he wanted to fight. The employee, described in court filings as a gay woman who uses female pronouns, a gay man who uses female pronouns, said she reported the incident to her manager, Human Resources, and the company's ethics hotline, but but alleges no corrective action was taken. She later took leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act to care for her husband. During that leave, Human Resources informed her that a coworker had accused her of inappropriate conduct during an earlier meeting. She denied the allegations. After returning to work in December 2025, she was terminated for allegedly harassing another employee. The lawsuit calls the allegation a, quote, false and pretextual reason for her dismissal. The lawsuit alleges PepsiCo violated the Family and Medical Leave Act and Title VII of the Civil Rights by fostering a hostile work environment, discrimination, and retaliation. PepsiCo has not publicly responded to the allegations. So, unfortunately, with at-will work states, you can be fired for any reason at any time. And I'm not saying that what PepsiCo did was correct, and I believe that the lawsuit needs to happen because we need to find out what actually happened. If HR and management did not respond to the allegations that were brought forth, and nothing was done to the people who were doing the harassment, that's problem number one. If they terminated her and just said, hey, sorry, you're terminated, technically there's nothing wrong with that. If you're at an at-work state, you can be terminated for any reason at any time.
Well, to clarify, because like lawyers like to remind me, because I normally bring that up like this, there's no justice in the world. They're
right.
Like, actually, they can only terminate you for a legal reason. Like they can't do, just because they can terminate you in general, if they still do it in a way for an illegal reason, they can still get in trouble, and a lot of people make a lot of money pointing that out.
Correct. However, for instance, if this was in the state of New York specifically states they can be fired for any reason. They don't have to give a reason to fire.
They don't, but big companies love to come up with paperwork, and they tend to get themselves in trouble half the time.
Correct.
And from my travels in HR over the years, there are questions, and hopefully we'll find out more about the story, but I'm wondering if a collective bargaining unit was involved in representing either employee or employees. It doesn't say anything about what type of investigation took place.
Correct.
So my question is, for the person who ended up getting fired, were they called in? Was there an appropriate investigation done? It appears that if the lawsuit is accurate, the man who identifies as she, did not get the same treatment.
Right, and that's what I'm wondering.
Sure.
If she has actual evidence that there were reports placed with HR and management and that there were no investigations, then there's problem number one. Harassment unfortunately happens if there's nothing against it. I've been in situations in big corporations where I was harassed. I did bring it up to my management. They said, we'll handle it. Harassment stopped. I don't know how it was handled.
Well, just to complement that, one of the things that management should have done for any of the parties is to acknowledge that the matter has been addressed. If the behavior continues, please go through the proper channels. We encourage you to put it in writing and make a statement.
Which is also why I hope that she actually kept the receipts.
Agreed.
So for any kind, I do workplace mediation, which is, you have HR problems, workplace disputes. Always keep the paperwork trail. Download those emails if you're harassed,
keep your receipts.
Keep your receipts, and also there's it's not just straight up homophobic firing. This is a violation. If they actually violated the Family and Medical Leave Act,
correct,
that is an illegal firing.
Correct.
And second of all, I want to point out that this kind of thing, this abrupt firing could not happen until this country embrace unions and collective bargaining once again.
Thank you.
Yes.
This kind of behavior where big bosses who are nameless and faceless and probably in the HR office, 1,000 miles away, should not be dictating the fate of these people's employment. There should be representative on the ground. They should be properly represented and internally adjudicated even before it goes into the federal courts.
As a former union rep, for the union rep at the task force of all things, but the thing that makes I did check ahead of the story to see if this is a union. PepsiCo, some places it's partially unionized, so this may or may not. The fact that I didn't see any union statements in the story, and they weren't talking about dealing with a union rep during that first allegation, because if a union rep got the slip while someone's on leave of, oh, we remember all of a sudden this thing you did when you were here.
Right.
The union rep would have freaked out. They would be like, what do you mean? Of course, they had plenty of time to discuss it. What do you mean they wait till they conveniently, when they're on leave? We think you're just trying to push her out because she's on leave. And half the time the company would maybe continue to pursue it. Maybe they wouldn't, but there'd be a whole process of arbitration before you get to the actual termination. The fact that it didn't happen this way and they just pushed her out while she's on leave is a strong reminder of why unions are so important.
There's a lot of information here that still needs to be uncovered. So hopefully the
discovery will be glorious.
Discovery will be glorious.
Exactly. And folks, I'll close it out on this. When in doubt, assume the corporation's being a bad actor.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up health. Trump administration ends direct CDC HIV grants, shifts $46 million to states. The Trump administration has ended a long-running federal grant program that directly funded local organizations providing HIV prevention and care services, redirecting the $46 million through state health agencies instead. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's community grant program currently supports about 96 organizations that provide HIV testing, referrals to care, PrEP, doxy-PEP, and outbreak response. Under the change, states will determine whether those organizations continue receiving funding. However, AIDS United, a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit, criticized the decision. CEO Carl Bologna of AIDS United warned that the potential impact, quote, "We cannot end the HIV epidemic by dismantling the trusted community systems that make prevention possible. This decision threatens access to testing, PrEP, PEP, and care, and will ultimately lead to preventable HIV transmissions, program closures, and higher healthcare costs," end quote. Advocates also expressed concern that some states might not prioritize funding from community-based organizations serving populations disproportionately affected by HIV, including Black and Latino communities, LGBTQ+ people, and people in the South. Carl Schmid, executive director of the HIV+ Hepatitis Policy Institute, said funding decisions could vary widely by state, potentially delaying support for local organizations and limiting access to discounted medications tied to the federal grant program. Well, there is so much that we have to look at with this November's voting, especially here in Florida and many other states like Florida. It's frightening and challenging to think that many of our fine nonprofits here could be impacted, and what that would mean for our community. What do you all think?
I mean, we keep seeing that the federal government's pushing it to the states and pushing it to the states. I'm wondering when it's going to be, you're going to see mass exoduses of people out of certain states. Because, you're already seeing it with abortions. You're already seeing it with gender-affirming care, that people are leaving their local areas, their states, to get the care that they need in another state. And then we're seeing people being witch hunted, and the doctors being witch hunted from the states that don't do the care for the states that do the care. And so now this is yet another situation where the government's going, okay, back to the states. This is what you've been wanting, so here you go. And now that money is going to sit there, and the state's going to go, we're going to put it in something else.
Exactly.
Lucky.
And
just something else. A new swimming pool at Governor's Mansion.
Well, no, my point is actually the Trump administration, this is not in a vacuum with how they've treated HIV and healthcare funding overall. I was reading in Vox last week about how the future of HIV vaccines, and there was one of the scientists they were talking to. They were just getting ready to do an actual trial of an HIV mRNA vaccine. They had gone to Africa to start it, rolling out. As soon as they touched down, like a week or two later, Elon Musk and all the Doge people, they cut all the funding, literally collapsed the entire research project. We've been seeing these stories about HIV with this particular administration since he started. With this one, it's horrendous what could happen to people. This follows so many other problems with him doing all this. And also, we were talking about how this will affect people's prescription drugs. He's not just coming for people with HIV's prescription drugs, people. They want to get rid of Medicaid Part D, the prescription expansion. So any of you older people that voted for Trump, good luck. Good luck paying for your drugs, kids. That's what we're into right now.
And also to the point that White House don't only give these money to the states when the states agree with them, right? There's a recent report that at least 4 FEMA requests approved by FEMA, his FEMA, was denied from White House, from the Oval Office, because they're blue states.
Right.
They are withdrawing money from blue states to punish blue states while giving red states governments essentially free money to base and to use ostensibly for other users, but it's going to end up benefiting only the people who voted red.
Correct.
It is a fundamentally government by favoritism. This is not government by equality or even equity. This is government by I like you and therefore you get more money.
Right.
I don't like you and therefore when you have a wildfire, I'm not giving you a cent to combat it.
Correct. And the problem is in 2 years' time, when we can actually try to do something about it, many of these nonprofits and organizations that give this care will have closed and folded, and to restart something is lengthy at best. So the damage that it will do, not that it could do, that it will do, might not ever be.
Rex is touching on to one of the problems that a lot of activists get worried about, the concept of electoralism. And it's, one side can destroy so much and it takes so long to try and rebuild that you never actually get back to it. Correct. And it's a huge problem with American democracy right now, where it's like, if we don't fix it, I don't know how this country's staying together.
It takes a month to take down an agency by Doge. The problem is that, to rebuild it, it takes 10 years.
Yeah.
But the electoral problem is this. People expect it to go back up in a month. When Obama came into office, everyone is like, oh, you must fix everything that Bush did wrong. And if you did not do it immediately, then you're a failure. That's how we come up with, and of course, you also get enormous sabotage from bad actors like the Tea Party. Who was
that guy Mitch something? I think he might still be alive. Didn't he say his entire...
I don't know, it's a Schrodinger's Mitch McConnell at the moment. He can be alive and not alive at the same time.
Do you remember he said on day one it was to destroy Obama's presidency?
Well, at the same time, the right is allowing someone like a Pete Hegseth to request millions of dollars to continue the war in Iran, no matter what you think about the war. Also to provide testosterone to the military at this time optionally.
It's gender-affirming care.
Of course, thank you.
Right.
It's almost like being in a cartoon in the world that we're living in right now.
I mean, just if everybody think about this. Think about your car, right? Mm-hmm. Your car works. It takes 1 second for it to die. And you take it to the shop and they say it's going to take a week. So use that analogy to think about all of our organizations out there. Mm-hmm. Our organizations, that not just in HIV, but in everything that we're doing, gender-affirming care and abortion clinics, when something closes and something dies, it takes longer for it to open. And because of our democracy and things changing every 4 years, maybe 8 years, by the time we get the ball rolling, something else comes in. So we need to prevent these things from closing. We need to prevent these organizations from failing to give care, because what's going to happen is it's then going to fall on our hospitals and ERs. And so then those places who say, okay, we can't refuse you care, are going to then pick up the slack, and then where are those bills going? And your insurance rates, we're already complaining about insurance rates. It's not a micro situation, people. We are a global economy, and it affects global concerns, and it affects us globally, period.
Exactly. And, to echo Larry's point about how much they're spending on that war, it just reminds you that if the government ever tells you they have no money for something, they do.
I am Bobby Huen. Let's queer up the worldview. ISIS-inspired plots targeting LGBTQ plus students foiled. 3 Singaporean teens arrested. According to Singapore's Internal Security Department, this year so far the authorities have arrested 3 teenagers in separate alleged ISIS-inspired terror plots, including plans to kill LGBTQ plus students in knife attacks. Among those detained was 19-year-old Tan Junjae, who authorities say have become self-radicalized online after converting to Islam in 2022. Investigators said Tan planned attacks against Singapore Air Force cadets and queer students at a former college, believing that they were kufr, or non-believers. Officials said he chose knives as the most accessible weapon and studied knife fighting techniques online. Authorities said Tan also pledged allegiance to ISIS and viewed the planned attack as a path to martyrdom. According to the security department, quote, he had imagined while preparing food at home that his kitchen cleaver was a knife to slit his acquaintances' throats, mimicking executions in ISIS propaganda videos, end quote. Friends who recognized signs of his radicalization alerted authorities, leading to his arrest in April. Another arrested teenager was a 14-year-old boy who allegedly planned a knife attack targeting classmates, including LGBTQ plus students, after becoming radicalized through violent online content, extremist propaganda, and mass shooter material. Investigators said he intended to live stream the attack before taking his own life. Classmates and teachers reported warning signs, and authorities arrested him in May. A third teenager, aged 15, was arrested in March after allegedly pledging allegiance to ISIS online and planning an attack in Singapore modeled on the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Officials said the 3 cases were unrelated but reflected growing concerns over online self-radicalization among youth. Now, for funsies, I looked up some facts about LGBTQ rights in Singapore. Now, Singapore is one of those cities where it's supposedly very glamorous. You know, Crazy Rich Asian took place there. You know, they have this enormous airport. Their airline's one of the best in the world. There's nothing wrong with that, but Singapore, despite wanting to be the shiniest pearl in Southeast Asia, did not decriminalize gay sex until 2023. Currently, same-sex marriage remains constitutionally blocked. They actually decriminalized gay sex and block and ban gay marriage at the same time, and LGBTQ media content is actually restricted to either higher age ratings or just simply disappear altogether. They have an annual Pride rally, but only Singaporeans can go. Foreign press were banned and censored so that they can pretend that LGBTQ people in Singapore doesn't exist. And there is obviously no anti-discrimination laws. And also, how do I know that Singapore singled out LGBTQ media content for censorship? Joe My God, which is run by Joe Jervis, one of the most oldest and most respected LGBTQ plus blogs around. I use VPN. The only time Joe My God is blocked is if my VPN connected to Singapore service. Now, what I'm trying to say is, yes, thank you, Singaporean government, for arresting these 3 teenagers. I believe that they probably need more counseling and de-radicalization more than actual prison sentence, although with Singapore and the draconian laws, you never know. They apply the death penalty to quite a few things. But the thing is, de-radicalization should be the first priority here. And second, I'm afraid that they're going to use these examples, these arrests, to basically further crack down on online censorship. Now, that doesn't mean that I want people to be exposed to online radicalization content. But when you restrict LGBTQ expression in public, when the government endorsed the erasure and censorship of LGBTQ content, guess what? These kids are going to look at LGBTQ people as easy victims. I hear you, Bobby,
but there's also something to remember with online ISIL and the radical extremist groups out there. Because a friend of mine, back when I lived in D.C., he was a government contractor that literally studied what these guys were putting up online to recruit. They recruit teenagers specifically for the same reason militaries like teenagers. They're very easy to get emotionally driven to your cause. They're very malleable, and that's a tragic thing that you're seeing here. But also, like, they're very good at avoiding U.S. Any government censures, and they're getting around that and they will get their message. I will say the most interesting fact of this entire report was the fact that the government was able to take all three of them alive. Something that I don't see the United States government doing enough when we have suspects of potential or have committed major violence. So that's one good thing I'll say. So they can be questioned and we can learn more about what happened.
Notice that they also did not publish the names of the teenagers. Americans would have.
No, we don't publish minors when they're...
Well, one is 19, so he's not a minor.
That's different.
And secondly, their radicalization, while, yes, we have pointed out in the story that LGBTQ was part of it, but I mean, you're talking a mass shooting, and he said classmates, including LGBT people. So I want to stress that, yes, I think, mental health, but you're correct. I mean, we see radicalization of minors and teenagers most frequently, both not only outside, but with our own government. I mean, we recruit people. We used to have the draft card, and these, these types of things. And most of the people are 15, 16, 17 years old when they start being recruited, because they are malleable and they are trying to figure out their way in the world. I think it's disturbing to see someone who's 14 years old being radicalized by hate and mass shooting. My question is how do you stumble upon it? Yes, we need to limit access to stuff like that for sure. Where were the parents? There's so many questions.
There's
so many questions.
For a group to be as successful as ISIL over the last 15 years is because of very specific international affairs that multiple governments are doing. But to be very, the United States government has done a lot to help propel this. They didn't mean to, but our actions in the Middle East, what we do in Muslim countries around the world, is why you get all this violent rhetoric and so many people willing to consider what to join things like ISIL. Because they see one country can do whatever it wants to Muslims. And young Muslim kids well, we should fight back or something. Right. It's a very easy to go to them. We could do smart things not start wars with Iran, not decide to go and destabilize other Middle East nations. But we continue to do this.
But the question is what 14-year-old do you know goes, one day I want to go find out about mass shootings and become one? There's always a cause and effect, right? Yeah. There's always a reason why this child went looking for this information.
Yeah,
it wasn't like somebody...
They might not have gone looking for it. These guys are very good at getting their stuff out onto certain forums. They know to target young people. I mean, look at the guy that shot up Pulse. He pledged to ISIL as well. He was... they see stuff online. They don't always go looking for it. The ISIL, they know what they're doing. They know how to recruit. The Nazis did it in the 30s, too.
But the thing is, well, first of all, the Pulse shooter was a grown-ass man. I think he was in his 30s, or at least late 20s.
He was still he still was exposed.
And also, I believe that his father was his entire family was from Afghanistan or Iraq. I don't remember, but it was so there are some entryway through, entryway. I don't know where the 14 or 15-year-old, but I'm guessing that they find gateways through probably. For example, if they were bullied, they probably will trying to look up information that will get back at other people.
You're proving my point. If he was bullied, if there was a cause for him to do it, you just don't wake up one day and go, I want to find out about mass shooting. There is a cause and effect.
But for me, the whole idea that these guys are specifically saying that they want to not just, they target other people, but they specifically said that they want to target LGBTQs plus students. I believe the cause is that Singapore, the government, refused to acknowledge
They said classmates including. It wasn't specifically LGBTQ people. And in the report, it says classmates and. So I want to say that, it's bad regardless. I want to know why. I want to know why.
That's a very fair thing. The last thing I'll say on this is that my suspicion is that these kids either saw it on Telegram, or I would not even be surprised if it comes out that someone actually slid into their DMs and started this rhetoric with them. And that is an important thing to think about. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up faith. Christian men-only gyms spark online backlash over claims they help prevent infidelity. Christian influencers are facing online criticism after opening men-only gyms that they say are designed to help men avoid infidelity and sexual temptation. One of the gyms, Proverbs 1217 Fitness in Oklahoma City, drew widespread attention after it was featured in a Baptist News Global opinion article published July 22nd. The article states, quote, "The Christian manosphere believes men need to be in top physical and spiritual shape. So one way they're proposing to accomplish this is through lust-free gyms," end quote. Founder Jeff Humbrock said, quote, "In a nutshell, one of the number one places that affairs and infidelity occur, cheating, is the gym. Byproduct is someone who had an affair in my previous marriage. Doesn't work out well for you fellas," end quote. The gym describes itself as a space for men to train hard, pray harder, and walk boldly. Another men-only Christian gym, Youth Group for Men and Remnant Men, is scheduled to open in Denver later this year. Founder Mitch Parsons described it as, quote, "a place where a man can train his body without having nakedness shoved in his face," end quote. The article gained traction on Twitter, where many users mocked the concept of men-only lust-free gyms. Well, I just want to first state that, like, I actually, enjoy lots of men-only spaces, but, the whole point of going to, a men's-only resort or gym is the nakedness. It's to be clothing optional. You're supposed to walk around with your dick out. Like the YMCA, when you did the pools, you were naked. What do you mean there's not going to be any nakedness? Well, that's the whole point of these sorts of gyms, guys.
What they were trying to say, nakedness in that quote, is actually not nakedness of men. It just mean they literally just mean women in the gym wearing gym clothes. That's their definition of nakedness. So these boys are
still going to get naked if they go to their gym.
That's their definition of nakedness. Or they think, for one thing, first, that's just, a men's only gym is just a bathhouse with extra steps. I mean, it is. I mean, we have gay men only gyms around here. I mean, in my
and you get to be naked in them.
You don't have to be naked, but there's. But also, allegedly, he quit 4 other gyms before finding his own. At this point, I don't think it's the gym that's the problem, and also the abrogating of your own responsibility of basically controlling your lust versus I'm going to establish something to exclude an entire gender just because I can't. Just because it's like saying that you cannot control yourself. You will go feral. You will go, uncontrollably horny. Yeah. If even a woman in a sweatsuit, show up to jog on a treadmill. It's abrogation of responsibility. You're blaming the appearance of women to saying that there's a woman there, I can no longer control my lust. That's BS of the highest order.
This is a very serious topic.
I can't, because okay, let's say, yes, women are wearing their Lululemons and, working out, and you can't control your lust. So does that mean you're no longer going to go to Jamba Juice? You're no longer going to Whole Foods? Oh, wait, they said Manosphere. They don't do the shopping. Their women stay at home and get pregnant and do everything for them and go shopping. So the only place they would be going to would be work, gym, and home. Just because that's the type of people. I find it funny that they say lust, because I can't, as somebody has been to a gym and hung out with straight men at gym, there's so much butt patting and back slapping. As somebody who's been in the locker rooms since high school from sports, there's so much towel slapping and dick waving and stuff, and so for them to say that, and there's been a lot of straight guys that I've heard say to others, "Man, bro, you're built. Man, bro, nice ass." So
What you're saying is, back to my original point, all the fun in the boy-only spaces in a gym is the nakedness. You get to wag your dick at people. It's hilarious.
No, but also, even if you don't wag your dick at people, it's really, I mean, there's a lot of things that are really pretty gay, or at least gay adjacent about the gym.
100%.
And also, and you know, and I don't know, and these manosphere looks maxing, gym maxing idiots who like to mock people or whatever, you know, TikTokers.
Right.
But they always complimenting, or at least they think that by going to the gym and lift weights and build muscle, they will be instantly attracted to women. It's all about looks. It's all about a very superficial thing.
Correct.
You know, they're not talking about emotional growth. They're not talking about, they are trying to say that I'm doing this for God. But, you know, I don't think God is in the room with you. I think your lust is not about women.
Agreed.
I think you just want a bro space where, you know, you want to try something forbidden, and your wife or other women won't be catching it and witnessing it while you bend it over.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with boys wanting their boy space and girls wanting their girls. I know someone tried to do a girls-only gyms. I don't know if it
Actually, they do.
worked.
There is women only.
Okay.
There are women only gyms, but the problem is that women only gyms are founded to avoid harassment by men.
Correct.
There's no such case of widespread women harassing men in a gym.
Well,
so
based on their laws to get in the gym,
the
covenant, whatever you want to call it, their stupidity. I mean, you just have to be a cisgender male, right? It doesn't say that you can't be gay.
No, it says that marriage is between a man and a woman.
But I'm not married. I'm not a married man. So technically, I could join the gym. So then what are you going to do?
Right.
Because if you don't allow me in the gym, I match all your covenants. That's
discrimination.
And that's discrimination. Exactly, that's discrimination.
But that's also in Oklahoma, where the anti-LGBTQ discrimination.
I understand, but I mean, here's the slippery slope. I mean, these people haven't really thought much through this. They probably haven't thought much in their life in the first place. So there's that. But it's just like the whole idea, again, of this lust-free gym. There's lust around you at the gas station. There's lust around you at the post office. So to your point, control yourself. If you can't, they make a chastity belt, dude.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do when you go to the beach or the pool, or, you know?
I think, you know, not to belabor this story all day, I'll just leave us on one note about like how straight these boys are. There was a study about men in locker rooms, and you know, the gay guy, they try very hard to keep their wee-wees, you know, as small and like not big. And you know what straight boys do? They tug on them to make them bigger. Think about that, folks. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's crib the worldview. Poland's constitutional court blocks recognition of same-sex marriages performed abroad. Poland's constitutional court has ruled that same-sex marriages performed abroad cannot be recognized in the country, saying the Constitution defines marriage as a union between a man and a woman. The decision overturns a March ruling by Poland's Supreme Administrative Court, which had found that foreign same-sex marriages should be recognized under European Union law. That ruling was set to take effect at the end of August. In November, the European Union's highest court said member states must recognize same-sex marriages performed in other EU countries so couples can maintain family life across borders. Poland's Conservative Law and Justice Party changed the Supreme Administrative Court's decision before the Constitutional Court, whose judges were largely appointed while the party was in power and are widely viewed as close to the Conservative Law and Justice Party. Well, you know, it sounds like Poland continues to be terrible. And, you know, it also is a question, like, you know, can the EU enforce its laws within its member states? Or maybe is this a way that Poland's getting ready to Brexit itself?
Well, I mean, as a resident person with international relations experience, I would say that EU courts supersede the courts of the member states. So it doesn't matter if the constitutional court, blah, 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 blah. Yes, change the constitution. You must change it because the EU is now saying that you must recognize same-sex marriages, and therefore, if they don't, the EU can pound a punishment all the way from just withholding billions of dollars of subsidies that Western states, Western European states give to Poland, or, you know, just tighten your belt, I guess.
Larry?
I was just thinking back and, having worked with international employee relations, one wonders if we could get the right situation set up to contest this, where an international company might have a couple, one of them being an employee of the company with a same-sex marriage, as an expat working in Poland, that the wheels of progress could start turning. I mean, one couple is not going to do that, but I think that there's a lot of opportunity.
Actually, one couple will do that. They can just they can file the case again in the European Court of Human Rights. They can file it, and then it can be adjudicated in the the European Union court system, where they can render a judgment and say that you must do this or else.
Yeah.
Well, before we get lost in that, any other thoughts, Rex?
I mean, basically, unfortunately, you have a court that's upholding their constitution. So while the EU can say you have to do this, Poland is now in a situation where they need to change their constitution, and the length of which that's going to happen is probably going to take a lawsuit.
Actually, most countries, they're not that difficult to change the constitution. Americans made it really difficult within America to do so. With the convention, and then 2/3 or 3/4 of the states have to vote for it. Most countries, I mean, there are countries where you can just carry it. I mean, Hungary did it recently, so that Viktor Orban.
Yeah, but you need people within the government that want to do it.
Yeah, I think this gets to a point that Poland sucks.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up queer rights. Texas DMV restores license plate that was revoked for indecency. A Texas femboy content creator says the state's Department of Motor Vehicles restored his custom, quote, "I love you, Yowie" license plate after previously revoking it over an incident message following a complaint. Yaoi is a simply Japanese genre of romance between men. The license plate owner, known online as a spicy cow and as Amber, shared a video on Twitter showing a letter that allegedly gave him 30 days before the plate would be canceled. He later unveiled a replacement plate reading, quote, "Boy, love, kisser," adding, quote, "I always come back and I come back stronger," end quote. On July 27th, Amber posted that the original "I love Yowie" plate had been reinstated. As someone who's from Texas, I've seen a lot worse plates out there. I mean, look, the DMV has a right to regulate what the plates say.
But there's a limit on how much they can regulate. For example, in Florida, remember the guy who got, I think it was like Assman, A55MAN or something. It was an inadvertent. It wasn't even a custom plate. It was just, how Florida has 6 digits and they randomly assign, and he used it for a while until some Karen complained about it. I can guarantee you the "I love Yowie" plate was complained about, or someone went to Texas DMV and complained how indecent it is, because how would Texas keep track of 20 million license plates?
Well, they can't. But the other thing is you had to tell me what Yowie is. I didn't know what it was until I saw this. So I probably would do the same thing, that anybody else does, is they probably Googled it and then were like, "Oh, let me complain." The fact that anybody goes to the DMV to do anything is, remarkable.
Astounding.
The fact that they got through to complain, I'd like to know who this is, because I'd like to know the phone number that you called, because I have tried to call the DMV in Texas many a times when I lived there, and you just don't get anywhere.
And also, for those who I just want to give a shout out for Fanboy. He has exquisite taste in cars. A Mark IV and Mark V Supra, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm just loving it.
I don't know much about cars, but I do enjoy occasionally some yaoi, and it is always fun to watch some Twinkie anime when especially if it's like the nice, fun, romancy ones that then are also superheroes. Though I know if you go into certain parts of the internet, you'll see yaoi that's a little bit more adult.
And that is all good for him to love it.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Elon Musk calls Anne Hathaway marionette over resurfaced LGBTQ plus rights speech. Elon Musk has done it again and criticized Anne Hathaway after a 2018 speech supporting LGBTQ plus rights resurfaced online and went viral this week. Speaking at the Human Rights Campaign National Dinner, Hathaway said, quote, quote, that myth is that gayness orbits around straightness, transgender orbits around cisgender, and that all races orbit around whiteness. And it is a myth that keeps money and power in the hands of a few instead of being invested in the lives of the free, end quote. Responding on Twitter, Musk wrote, quote, she's just a marionette. Whoever wrote her speech is a real douchebag, end quote. Well, another bunch of points against Musk, who has an estranged transgender daughter. He is who he is. I love Anne Hathaway. She is one of the prides and joy and a native of New Jersey, right down the street from where I lived before coming down to Florida. So she's an amazing actress, I think, amazing person. I don't think she's a marionette. I just think Musk has too much time on his hands.
Right. Once again, a man is trying to strip a woman from her agency. What he is implying is that, another person wrote it for her and she's just the marionette being with the strings pulled. He is trying to basically say that he still likes her, probably fantasize about her, and then, but, what she said is not what she really means. She really means that. Anne Hathaway is an LGBTQ ally. She's always been a supporter. She is not a puppet to any kind of spokesperson, and you are just trying to simp over her while trying to ignore her point.
I mean, 90% of what is said on any platform, whether it's an award, it blah, 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 is written by somebody so that somebody can stay on task. The news is written by somebody so we can stay on task.
Allegedly.
However, that speech was aimed right at him. White, cisgendered male.
Exactly.
That's why he got upset.
As someone who's written a lot of speeches for a lot of people, I assure most people, when you write a speech for them, they are very involved in the writing process.
Of course.
And the other only big comment is the idea that an HRC dinner, it's been uncovered. We didn't know. It's just surprising that she was there. Everyone knew she was there. It was a wonderful time when she was there in 2018. This great
it was
that she
12
did,
years ago.
Right? And it just reminds us all that Elon Musk, he belongs in a prison, not on social media.
He's at so much money, he's bored.
Yes, absolutely. Well, enough about that.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Sarah Paulson to play multiple roles as American Horror Story Season 13 reunites Coven cast. Queer actor Sarah Paulson is returning to American Horror Story in a major way, reprising Cordelia Good while taking on multiple characters in the upcoming 13th season. Photos from the New York set show Paulson reuniting with Coven cast members Emma Roberts, Gabourey Sidibe, and Frances Conroy, alongside new cast member Alex Consani. Despite speculation that the new season could focus on the witches of the Coven, series creator Ryan Murphy told Entertainment Tonight, quote, everyone thinks it is a Coven season, and it is not. It's all the seasons. So Sarah Paulson is playing 6 or 7 roles, end quote. It has not been confirmed which of Paulson's past American Horror Story characters will return, but Murphy's comments suggest the new season will revisit multiple storylines from across the anthology series. Series 13 debuts September 24th. Now, I haven't been very excited about HS in a while. I mean, since Apocalypse, I'm kind of like,
Well, but that's the thing. So it makes sense that this is going to
be drawing the curtain.
Yeah, because you had Coven, you had the one with Gaga that had Coven Hotel.
Yes.
You had Apocalypse that had the Coven in it. You had the one where they bought the house and it was haunted. Roanoke that had hints of Coven in there. So
I mean, Coven is kind of the overarching, but I really want to see, aside from, of course, the wonderful ladies, Paulson, Emma Roberts, etc. I want to see Evan Peters back. I want to see the guy who played the devil. What's his name? I don't remember. The tall one from Apocalypse.
No, I know who you're talking about. Pop culture is not my.
But I can't. if they are going to be reuniting every kind of like supernatural themed, like coven themed seasons, oh my God, if Gaga make a
comeback.
make a cameo. No, do not disparage Gaga in this house.
Do you ever think I'm saying I would love to see. Okay, Hotel is like my second favorite season because like I'm a gay. Coven is of course every gay's favorite season.
Yeah.
Like my only regret with Coven is it was so well done. It kind of should have turned into its own spin-off show in my opinion because I was that obsessed with it. But like I am very ready for season 13.
I'll start watching. I'll watch this again.
And one more cameo aside from Gaga we need. Stevie Nicks.
Oh,
we're doing Coven.
The White Witch herself.
We must have Stevie Nicks.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platforms.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Alex Morash, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Rex Rogosch, Larry Farver, and Dr. Bobby Huen. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we wish you a good night.